Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the President of the Republic returns to the country after his participation in the China-Africa high-level meetings in Johannesburg. For the international scene, influx of migrants in Lampedusa. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic returns home after attending a double summit in South Africa. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, returned to the country on Friday following his participation in a double summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. The first summit in Johannesburg, attended by the head of state, current chairman of the IGAD, was a meeting of the BRICS organizations, a group of economic made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, with third countries, mainly Africans, in a speech delivered in that summit. And this summit, which was essentially devoted to announcing the opening up of the BRICS alliance to other countries. President Guelleh focused on the President Guelleh, current chairman of IGAD, focused above all on the highly viable opportunities for economic complementarity that depend on the launches of partnership between the BRICS and Africa. In general, between the BRICS and IGAD countries in particular. As for the second China-Africa summit, which President Ismail Omar Guelleh attended in South Africa on the heels of the BRICS summit, in a statement to the closed-door meeting of head of state and government, he called, among other things, for greater cooperation between the two parties in the key sectors of the transfer of know-how and the promotions of trade. President Ismail Omar Guelleh took part in the second China-Africa summit held in South Africa. On the sidelines of the BRICS Africa Summit, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, took part in a China-Africa meeting held at the Hilton Hotel in Johannesburg, South Africa. In addition to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, several African leaders took part in the meeting, including the Burundi, Cameroon, Senegal. The meeting provided an opportunity to review bilateral relations as well as ways and means of further deepening partnership between Beijing and Africa. Discussions focused in particular on ways of maximizing the return on the major development project on which Djibouti and China are already working together. The meeting provided an opportunity to assess the progress made in relations between the two countries. During the meeting, the Chinese president reiterated his respective willingness to work to strengthen the level of exchanges between China and Africa and to diversify collaborations and partnership. Chinese President Xi Jinping expressed his gratitude to several African countries, and in particular Djibouti, which is a strategic ally for China. And President Ismail Omar Guelleh calls for intensified trade and cooperation between Africa and China. The President of the Republic and current chairman of the IGAD, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, spoke out in favor of the intensifying trade and cooperation between relations between China and Africa's African countries. In a speech made this Thursday evening at China-Africa Summit held in Johannesburg on the heels of the BRICS meeting. In his address to the closed-door meetings of the head of state and government of China and Africa, the Djiboutian president began by welcoming the state of collaboration and mutual assistance characterizing the two parties and linking these privileged relations to centuries old relations woven by the thread of history between Africa and China. For centuries, China and Africa have cherished a bond based on friendship, solidarity, and mutual respect, said President Ismail Omar Guelleh. This relationship, marked by cultural exchanges, commercial ties, and diplomatic collaborations, has remained a cornerstone of our nation's historic relation, the head of state went on to say, quite rightly, for whom even more successful cooperation between the two orders must now involve a more sustained level of exchanges in the field of industrializations, modernizations, and regional integrations. In his play of strategic reorientations of China-Africa partnerships, President Gelly, current chairman of IGAD, highlighted how cooperation more focused on the notions of skills and technology transfers would provide our regions and China with even more fruitful prospect for collaborations, and for good reason. The geostrategic locations of the IGAD countries and their high demographic levels, estimated today at some 300 million inhabitants, are likely to serve as a window of opportunity for achieving real growth in this part of the world. In President Gelle's opinions, by combining our resources, knowledge, and expertise, we can seize opportunity within our respective economies while promoting economic growth, sustainable development, and regional integrations. The head of state, the Egyptian head of state, Sabdai, pleaded calling for the rapid establishment of partnerships between China and our region is based on innovation, vocational training, industrialization, and growth in the services sector. The initiations of Sino-African cooperation focused on more on the transfer of skills in all the more commendables, as in the E of President Gele. It would prepare the continent and the IGAD countries for a radical transformations in their ability to forge lasting sources of growth and irreversible mechanisms for sustainable development. By giving our young people education and training, we enable them to become active participants in shaping the destinies of our nations. Beyond economic progress, President Ismail Mergele stressed adding the notions of collaborations around the phenomenon of global warming in the lists of priority sector to be redefined. For Sino-African cooperation, our region is being hit hard by devastating effects of climate change. Lamented President Gele, convinced that by joining forces with an ally like China, by devoting resources to combating and mitigating the effects of climate change, and by adopting innovative agricultural methods, so we can not only ensure food security for our regions but also contribute to feeding the entire continent protected from external disruptions. BRICS Summit welcomes six new member countries. The BRICS meetings at their summit in Johannesburg welcome six new member countries. The BRICS Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa meeting at their summit in Johannesburg welcomed six new member countries. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced it on Thursday from January 1st, 2024, Iran, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates will join the group of emerging countries which aims to increase its influence on the world. As part of the World Athletic Championship in Budapest, the athlete Mohammed Ismail Ibrahim, known as Fatah, a specialist Olympic athlete who took part in the 5,000 meters event earlier today, has qualified for the finals. Our brilliant athlete Fatah has qualified for the final of the World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Hungary. Congratulate to our champions athlete Mohammed Ismail. It is hopeful for Djiboutian athletics and have proven himself. Please remember that Mohammed Ibrahim, known as Fatah, had won several titles in the past, most recently at the Francophonie Championship in Kinshasa, where he won gold and 5,000 meter gold medals in the 5,000 meters. And congrats to our champion. We wish him every success for the next stages in the 5,000 meters final, which takes place next Sunday at 9 p.m. in Budapest. Under the aegis of the State Secretariat in charge of sports, the sub-regional directions of Tajara organized the third edition of the triathlon this morning, in November, that 20 athletes from the Tajara and Obok regions took part. The event kicked off earlier in the mornings with the swim, followed by the bike and then the runs. The best performers distinguished themselves at the finish line before being rewarded at the trophy ceremony. The organizers expressed their satisfaction with the turnout and running of this sporting event. In their view, triathlon is an effective means of promoting sports and physical activities in the Tajara region. The award ceremony was attended by the State Secretariat, the Secretary General of the State Secretariat for Sport, Khadija Ibrahim Idrissa, the President of the Regional Council of Tajara, Mr. Omar Hussein, and OBOK, Mr. Mohammed Hamad Ismail, and the region's parliamentarian, the Honorable Abdallah Rufa, officers and several other local personalities, and the State Secretariat for Sport. In her speech at the prize-giving ceremony, the Secretary General of the State Secretariat congratulated the participants on their commitment and determination before paying tribute to all those who had played a part in the event's success, whether directly or indirectly, including the prefect, the president of the regional council associations, sport associations, and local authorities. With the back-to-school season approaching, school supplies shopping has begun. Prices remains unchanged for the last years. The capital stationeries and bookshops in the capital are crowded with young people and their parents. Preparations are well underway, and how the parents doing in the market, find out in this editorial magazine. The back-to-school summer draws to a close. Stationeries and school supplies stores are gearing up to welcome a tide of students and parents looking to stock up for the impending back-to-school season. Preparations are well underway, but how do parents go about it, and what is the atmosphere like in the market? Find out in this editorial magazine. Across the country, stationery stores' shelves are neatly stocked with notebooks with white lined pages, brightly colored pens, sharpened pencil, and a variety of other essentials. Teachers and students will find everything they need for a successful school year, from basic supplies to more innovative gadgets. Sellers of articles, materials, and school uniforms are busy in the stationery shop offering school supplies and at affordable price. Mr. Yassin Hamad Muhammad, who is employed in the local stationery shop in order to meet customers' requirements. We have all the school supplies that schools may require, such as a colored pencil, backpack, notebooks, pens, Cleopatra glue, and others. We ask parents and students to take full advantage of the quality products that are available, and we won't be disappointed with the prices of this product with a 20% of discount. Many stationers also offer special promotions and discount on school supplies to attract the customers. This strategy not only eases the financial burdens on families, but also create a lively, friendly atmosphere in the shop. Mr. Muhammad Abdul Muhammad, a stationery store's employees, explains his daily work. We have several things that can satisfy the customer's notebook, pens, grammar's book, and mathematics colored pencil. He told us that all school supplies are available at affordable price. They are seeing an increase in customers' numbers compared with the last year. In addition to a stationery shop, other types of businesses are also gearing up for the start of the new school year. Clothing stores are offering school uniforms and outfits. We take care of our customers. They hand in a list of all the supplies they need, and we prepare them in advance. Whatever the persons or school product can sometimes be out of stock, so we order them in from outside. Parents also prepare for their children's return to school, as in the case of Mr. Valentin, who has lived in Djibouti for 2 years. He said he was satisfied with the stationery shop in Djibouti. I am the father of 3 children, and this is the second year I have been back to school in Djibouti. I am very satisfied with the school materials and supplies. I can find everything the children want and I don't need to go to France. This contract is for the acquisitions of school supplies, teaching materials and supplies, a textbook and non-school books. There are no doubt now that the start of the new school years for 2023-2024 will go smoothly to the delight of pupils and their parents. Tragic accident in Tajura. Tragic accident took place yesterday at around 8 p.m. on the Balhur Road, 80 kilometers from the Tajura town, Tajura city, near Dora. A Land Cruiser carrying dozens of summer holidaymakers on their way back to Djibouti overturned halfway along the road, killing 2 people and seriously injured 5 others. The first aid was dispatched to the scene by the sub-prefect of Dora, Mr. Abdallah Kamil, and the chief medical officer, so Dr. Dimbio, and the injured were then transferred to the capital, Djibouti. Many of our fellow holidaymakers are currently returning to the countries from the hinterland or neighboring countries where they spend their holidays using the Balhut Tajura road and La Casal road to get to the capitals and the regions, of course. The elderly, women, and children are the main road users in this period of heat wave, so drivers are urged to show their sense of responsibility and must limit overloadings and speeding on the road to avoid any accident and must be vigilant at the wells. CMH of the Tajura plays a key role in the Balhut-Tajura road corridors is increasingly busy, and the CMH of Tajura health team remains mobilized in the event of any accidents. Ambulances are on standby, and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Dimbio is focusing on prevention. When accidents occurred on the corridors, assistance is provided on the Randab, Dora, Balhou. The region's prefect, Mohammed Abbas, is urging public transport drivers to redouble their vigilance and to drive very cautiously so as to not endanger human lives. The prefect, Mohammed Abbas, also urged the people to be vigilant during the period of the rains in Karma season, and in particular road users to pay close attention to the flooding of the Wadi. The International Organization for Migration, in collaboration with the National Migration Coordination Offices, organized a 2-day workshop in Addis Ababa to present the National Migration Strategy and 5-year action plans and identifying migration priorities in the interior regions. The workshop was attended by the first Deputy Prefect and Acting Prefect of the region, Ms. Saida Waberi Asobe, the President of the Regional Council, Sharmaki Hassan Al-Lale, Lieutenant Faisal Hussein Aden, Head of the Galilee Borders Police, and Ms. Amana Awale, representative of the National Coordination Offices for Migration. And the IOM project manager is Mr. Abdallah Muhammad. The overall aim of the workshop was to disseminate the national migration strategy and its action plan, and to agree on priority for migration management at the decentralized level. The national strategy for migration and its plan constitute the main frames of reference and a key tool for actions to achieve objectives aimed at promoting a designified management of migration issues. The Djibouti Coordinator Office is to coordinate all migration issues in the countries. And for the international scene, in Greece, firefighters battle devastating blazes for the 6 days running. In Greece, firefighters are battling blazes for the 6 days running. 162,000 hectares of forest have already been reduced to ashes a few kilometers north of Alexandropolis. It is easy to see just how devastating the fire has been. In this village, a dozen houses have been completely burned down. People can't come back to live here because it is simply unbearable. There are no windows, no roof, and even though the fires has been put out, we still have to wear masks because of the all toxic. It seems that nothing could have stopped the fires because here is very hot, very dry, and very windy. All these conditions makes the flames even bigger and spread even more easily, and it is a situation like on the 18% of the territories here in Greece because of the winds. The smoke spread all over the countries up to 950 kilometers to the southwest, reaching the Italian island where it is very difficult to breathe. Influx of migrants to Lampedusa. 500 migrants arrives in one day on the island of Lampedusa. The Italian Red Cross reception center is on the verge of saturation. Over 500 migrants arrives in one day. After a break of several days, migrants are once again arriving on the Italian island of Lampedusa. Lately, the number of the arrivals has been higher than usual. Little by little, the reception centers run for the Italian Red Cross is once again becoming overcrowded. Francesca Basile, Italian Red Cross, we have never said we have never had any problems managing large numbers of arrivals. We have always been able to transfer people to other locations. Transfers take place on the daily basis, enabling us to create a good balance between arrivals and departures. Around 120 people in total, employers and volunteers work at the center. They are specialized in various fields and are fully trained in all aspects of their work. Once they have left Lampedusa, the migrants are sent to different parts of the countries. Over 12,000 unaccompanied minors have arrived in Italy since the beginning of the years. Many of them have come via Tunisia. This is it for the news text version. Let's have a good evening.